Welcome to the Becoming Superhuman podcast. I'm your host, Trevor Schmidt. I was trained in Western medicine as a physician assistant, where I was exposed to the dark side of medicine. Through self-education and biohacking, I figured out ways to hack my system, becoming a better version of myself. We'll explore the wisdom and insight of my findings with each episode of the Becoming Superhuman podcast. Hello and welcome to the Becoming Superhuman podcast. We're here with special guest Therese T. Forton-Barnes. She is a household toxins specialist relating to cancer. She's got a brand of products here called the Green Living Gurus and T's Organics. T, how you doing today?
I'm very good. How are you?
Fantastic. I know toxins are a big part of causing diseases. Household toxins is where most of us are exposed to it. So first off, why don't you just describe a little bit more what that means to be a household toxins health specialist?
Yes, absolutely. So I want to go back in time a little bit because I want people to understand who I am and how I got to where I am today. I was very fortunate growing up in the 60s in a very healthy household where my mother was way ahead of her time and we ate all organic food, and she shopped at the co-op. Actually, she worked there, a little co-op that we still shop at this day. She had us cleaning with baking soda, vinegar, water, and Castile soap, which is how I still clean to this day. But she knew that these toxins and these chemicals that were coming into our homes and through products, through food, she was aware of this. She shielded us. I thought everybody ate that way. I thought everybody lived that way until I got a little older and they started calling us granola heads. So I started really diving into it, and I went to college in the early 80s to open up a large health food store because I wanted everybody to have the opportunity to live the way we did. And that health food store, as Whole Foods today, I have nothing to do with Whole Foods. I came out of college as a party planner, which I've been planning parties for 38 years. But through the course of those 38 years, I've been helping people get toxic chemicals out of their homes. So a household toxin health specialist is what I do. I help people figure out where potentially harmful cancer-causing chemicals could be entering your home, your body, and helping you detox your home because there's so many areas that they are hidden. That's a long answer for your quick little question.
I've talked to a couple people with a similar naturopathic background, and interestingly enough, a lot of them came out of those times of the 60s and 70s when it was like people were, I think, like the psychedelic age when people were rebelling or whatnot. So what did your mom go through? Do you know more about that? Like, how did she get her education, and how was she, brought into this lifestyle?
Yeah, so my mother was half Lebanese and half Italian. Everything was cooked fresh. So that was the beginning of the fast food industry, Burger King, McDonald's, pizza. She shielded us from all that. She's like, no, that's crap food out there. We are eating our stuffed grape leaves and our hummus, and you're coming home from school. You're not going to Burger King. You're coming home and eating what I know is good food. So it started with that. She analyzed everything, and her mom was the same way, and that was their background. That's who they were. So as opposed to my father, who was Irish, and he couldn't get enough bologna and hot dogs. Although he did live till he was 93, thanks to my mother, but she just was, again, ahead of her time. And then when she worked at our little co-op, she probably learned a lot more there as well. And it was fascinating to me, which is why I wanted to have that career. Even though I was a party planner for 38 years, I have been helping people for 38 years get these chemicals out of their homes. So I felt like I was carrying on my mother's mission and her knowledge, and that's where I am today.
Sounds like this was passed on from her mother and perhaps generations before.
Absolutely, for sure. Yep, no doubt about it.
And so you said Lebanese with like the Mediterranean diet?
Yes, definitely, and not necessarily all the time. I mean, she was all about cooking from scratch.
Okay.
And using a very, very only organic food, and didn't want any pesticides, that, us eating any pesticides on any of these foods that were out there. So I give her a lot of credit because that was, I mean, those times, believe me, I was mocked. I was teased. Many of my college friends are coming back to me and saying, you were right. You were absolutely right, but you taught us so much. So she's not alive anymore. I wish I could ask her more questions, but I thank her every day for the knowledge that she passed on to me.
Well, you're here as part of her.
Yes, absolutely, for sure.
It definitely comes through you. What is your why? Was there some moment in time? I mean, because I'm sure getting, harassed by your friends that you probably had the urge to just, do what everyone else is doing. Was there something that happened that you were like, no, this is right, this is the way to do it, and I'm gonna do this the rest of my life?
I did not give in to being harassed and teased, stood up for who I was, and was a very vocal person. I'd give it right back to them. So that didn't bother me ever. I knew. And back in the 80s and 90s, even the 2000 and early 2000s, I didn't think that it was so bad. And I feel like the chemicals have gotten so bad over the past 20 years,
Right.
30 years too. The rate of cancer. I mean, this week I found out three people I know have cancer. And I
Mm.
just feel like, and you hear about kids and babies, and it's just nonstop, and people's illnesses and Hashimoto's, and I have this problem and I have that problem. I feel like it's constant. The amount of chemicals in our world, our country, over 80,000 chemicals are out there. 11 have been disallowed. It's out of control, is something that people are not paying close attention to. I feel like it's starting, as you mentioned at the very beginning, it's starting to become mainstream. People are starting to realize, like, oh, wow, we've got to watch what we're putting on our skin and eating everything, but not enough people know that. And that's why I have set out the rest of my life to do this, because I feel like I need to help people as much as possible.
So where would you start? Like, say, the average person, I'm concerned about toxins in my home. Where are we? Where would you? Do you have like a checklist that you go over to ensure that people aren't exposed to these different toxic exposures?
Yeah, absolutely. So our homes, according to the EPA, are somewhere between 2 and 10 times more polluted than the outdoor air. Some agencies are saying it could be up to 100 times more polluted than the outdoor air. And that is because of all of these products, cleaning supplies, laundry detergent, things you are bringing in your home, spraying in your home, candles, you name it, are outgassing in our home. So the first place I try to get people to switch is in the laundry room. Why I do that? Because you are sleeping in sheets covered in chemicals. You are wearing clothes that could be covered in chemicals. And it's outgassing into your home as well. And not to, forget Mother Nature, you are pushing those chemicals out into the air. But the chemicals that can be found in laundry detergent are a whole myriad of chemicals. The first place I try to get people to change, and the hardest place to change, but once I get them to change it, and I've never had anybody go back to their old detergents, is any detergent, laundry soap, whatever you want to call it, including dryer sheets, is if it has any fragrance in it. If it has fragrance in it, that is where you are getting the most chemicals, because fragrance is not lemon scented or ocean breeze or whatever they're putting on there to make you believe it smells like a lilac bush or a lavender, plant. It is the word fragrance on laundry detergent, and for that matter, the word fragrance on any product you buy, they do not have to tell you the chemicals that they put into that product under the word fragrance. And that is due to a trade secret from the 1940s, when Chanel number 5 went to the government and said, we do not want to tell anybody what is in our perfume because it's a trade secret and they'll copy it.
Right.
1940s, we are still living with this law. It's insanity to me that we are in 2024. You and I, anybody can make a product, take benzene, formaldehyde and pretend whatever. I'm kind of making that up, although benzene and formaldehyde have been found in fragrance, and we do not have to tell the consumer what ingredients are in that product. And that's the fragrance industry. And it's a very powerful industry. Billions of dollars. Someday they'll probably come after me for all these podcasts that I talk on about fragrance, but that's reality. And people don't know that. And so the word fragrance, it could say perfume, it could say parfum, is loaded with potentially cancer-causing chemicals and so many other chemicals that can really harm our health. Those chemicals that are in the fragrance, and I'm not even talking about the other chemicals that are in certain laundry detergents that you can't pronounce half of the words that are on there because there's 20 different vowels or consonants. But what you're washing your clothes in, and especially if you're using any fragrance in there, that smell that people think that is fresh is actually dirty. That is something you do not want to be sleeping in, smelling throughout the night on your pillowcase. I've had so many people that have had either sinus issues, sore throats, congested, maybe waking up with the headache in the morning or a scratchy throat, eyes are itchy. That's very much coming from those chemicals that they are breathing in all night long or breathing in on their clothes all day long. So that's the biggest area that I try to, first area. It can make the biggest impact. It's the hardest area, but I try to get people to say, take your laundry detergent, put it in a plastic bag, tie it tight so it doesn't outgas in your house anymore. But buy something. There's plenty of things on the market now, especially if you can just buy fragrance free. That's a step in the right direction. I do not like the conventional laundry soaps out there. I always recommend Molly Suds or something called Meloria. Could be found online on Amazon. These are companies that have really done a lot of work in finding the right formula to make it as least toxic as possible. So those, and seventh generation, you can find anywhere. Fragrance-free seventh generation. It's a step in the right direction. So that is, the laundry room is my number one area that I get people to make the change. And once they make that change, they start to realize that that was causing a lot of their issues in their health. So, and a lot of people don't even know they don't feel well until they start to feel well.
Right.
I have so many people that if they slept in fragrance laundry sheets, they can get very sick. And there's a lot of people with multiple chemical sensitivity, MCS out there, that it's just becoming a bigger issue all around, for so many different people. And people don't know they have that sensitivity until they realize, like, wow, I was sleeping in all that fragrance and I didn't know that it wasn't lemon fresh.
Right. Now, a lot of people have allergies to that stuff as well, right?
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know they do.
Mm.
They think that it's fresh smell and a clean smell, but unfortunately it's not.
Your product line, does that include detergents?
No, I do not have a laundry soap, as I like to call them, as opposed to detergent. But down the road, I will. I mean, I have an all-purpose cleaner. I took a recipe pretty much of my mother's that we used all growing up, cleaning the house with vinegar, purified water and vinegar. And I have my own recipe with essential oils. That essential oils have antibacterial, antiviral, antiseptic properties. So that I created my own, and I was making it as gifts, and everybody came back and said, we need more. And I couldn't keep up with it. So I ended up marketing it and have a company that makes it for me. So I have that. And then of course, my 3 sprays that I make 3 different recipes for lockers, bedrooms, bathrooms, shoes, stinky closets, stinky hockey bags, whatever.
So the essential oils kind of give I don't want to say fragrance because you already said fragrance is a bad word, but
Scent.
like in a scent, okay, or
Yeah.
odor. Okay.
Yeah. definitely. Yep. Fragrance. Yeah. Yeah. I use 7 different essential oils. And I tell you what's on them,
Hmm.
in them, I mean, on the label: cinnamon and clove and ginger and rosemary and lemon and lime. Nope, no lime, lemon and orange. And I forgot the seventh one.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's interesting. I know my wife, she makes her own cleaner as well. And
Good.
vinegar is definitely, I know the smell of vinegar, so she
A
uses
lot
that.
of people don't like vinegar, which is why I use the essential oils as well, because
Right.
it masks the vinegar. Yeah. But
Yeah.
good. Your wife is awesome. That makes me so happy. Yes, absolutely. We don't need 12 different products to clean our homes,
Right.
honestly. I mean, it's all the companies out there making billions of dollars off of us,
Mhm.
consumers, and they're also greenwashing us and trying to make us believe that it's got lemon in it, which it probably doesn't. And if it does say that it's scented with essential oils, just for a fact, all they have to do is have 2% essential oils in there, because that's a common greenwashing thing that companies are using now, because they think if people think essential oils in there, they're going to think it's healthy and okay. And they only have to put in 2%. So they're putting in what, a couple drops of essential oil and throwing in all these other chemicals. So, and people are using, spraying these in their homes and cleaning their toilets and cleaning their counters and, God forbid, cleaning their floors where kids are going and dogs are licking their paws. So these are areas, and we're touching on cleaning supplies, because cleaning supplies is the next area that I really go to, because that's where people are using quite often, and the amount of those chemicals getting into the air in our home can also add to that level of toxicity in your home.
So I've heard the word greenwashing a few times. Can you kind of explain what you mean by that?
Sure. So greenwashing is when a company makes a product, they're trying to make the product look like it's healthy for you. Maybe they're putting it in a brown, it looks like a brown paper, like they're
Mhm.
being, conscious of the environment. That's very common. So they're making you think, oh, this is a healthy item, or, as I said, made with essential oils. If anything's ever made with, that word with, question it,
Right.
because that means it's just made with, it's not, it's all essential, it's made
Right.
with a lot of other stuff. So what I learned through the years is, if all those bottles and containers are out there, if they were turned around, that front label weren't facing out in all the supermarkets and drugstores, things would be a little different, because people would start paying attention to the back. And the back is the most important thing that you want to look at. You never want to look at the front of a label. So that's greenwashing. They're trying to make you believe that it's healthy for you. Or I had a girlfriend, say, oh, it's got aloe in it. And I'm like, no, 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 no. It doesn't matter if it has aloe in it. You have to look at the ingredients. You have to. All these ingredients, whether you're spraying them in your home, wearing them as lotion or deodorant or shampoos or conditioner, no matter what it is, if you're using it, especially on your body, you have to question it, because those ingredients are potentially getting into your body, getting into your bloodstream one way or another through your pores. Our skin is our biggest organ. So, that those are just things I get people to try to just always read the label, look at it as if it's a food item. Your skin is your largest organ. You want to be mindful of what you are feeding your skin. You want to be mindful of what you are breathing in your house,
Mhm.
into your lungs. Yeah, I hear all the time, oh, she didn't have cancer, but what was she breathing in her house, all day long? Did she burn candles? I don't, the list goes on, but those are just things to consider.
I just recognized yesterday my wife had bought some, I think it was like mayonnaise, and I was looking at the label, and it says organic, cage-free eggs, it said avocado oil. And then I look in the back, and it was avocado oil, but it also had soybean oil, and it also had
Canola,
oil.
probably.
So and all these other, then a bunch of other names that I didn't even know what
Hmm.
it was, right?
Yeah.
And I asked her, I'm like, well, I don't really eat that much mayonnaise. I'm like, what do they make mayonnaise out of? What are the main materials. And she's like, well, eggs and oil. And then I looked up
Yeah.
a YouTube video on how to make, this stuff
Good
fresh.
for you.
It was like, a couple ingredients, but yet
Yeah.
look on the label and this, what's supposed to be organic and healthy has a bunch of other crap in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? I mean, food is right in line with everything I just spoke about because you have to look at the label on everything. If it says it's made with, if you see the word natural anywhere, natural ingredients,
Right.
run because that's another loophole in the industry
Mhm.
because they can put made with natural ingredients and it's another greenwashing terminology. You want to question that again, made with natural ingredients, made with essential oils. And if it says it's natural, you want to look at that. Those are all buzzwords for them. They sit around these big, conference rooms like, oh yeah, let's say it's made with, we're going to get that share of the market where they think that, they're eating something healthy. So it's just, you did the right thing. You turned the label around and realized what was in there and do it yourself. I'm all about do it yourself. That's how I created my products. I encourage people to do it yourself all the time. So think
So so like now let's say we do look at the labels, what should we be looking for as a good thing? Like if I look at the label and I see all these things that I don't really recognize the names, so, what is it that I'm looking for? What am I trying to find?
so. And are we talking food or cleaning
Like
supplies?
let's go with the cleaning supplies since we've been talking about that.
Okay. So that's a tricky question because there are certain ingredients that they need to put in some, I'm going to just say laundry detergent.
Mhm.
Um, the less amount of ingredients, the better. Full disclosure, if they like Molly Suds, if you go on her website, full disclosure of what those ingredients are in there instead of hiding anything. Uh, Full disclosure of the story. What is what are they using it for? So it's if somebody picks up a bottle of, I think it's all clear or Tide clear or whatever free, what people ask me that all the time. I said, well, yeah, you're doing a step in the right direction. You've gotten rid of the fragrance, but I get people to start looking at all of those other ingredients in the laundry detergent. And I can't tell you all the names right now because there's so many different chemicals, but look at them and see what you are washing your clothes in. Now, I do want to say not all chemicals are toxic or bad. I mean, there's some that are out there that are absolutely 100% safe and okay. So can't state all of the chemicals that are good or not good because there's so many, but it's just familiarizing yourself, paying attention. And that's what I do. I mean, to this day, if I am buying something, I'm looking at it and reading that label and familiarizing myself. If it's got sodium benzoate in it, I see that all the time. I know that that's not good. So it's hard, but you start to familiarize yourself with all these different products. I mean, if it smells like Clorox or all these smells that you're trying to think that you're cleaning your house and killing germs, unfortunately, you're not particularly doing yourself a favor of bringing all those chemicals in that could be harming your house and also affecting your health, especially your immune system, especially any kids or adults or anybody with any kind of issue with their lungs or their organs. So it's just paying attention. I just get people to, once they take those two steps, the cleaning supplies and the laundry, and we start making that switch, then we move slowly into all the other areas that personal care products. A woman puts on her skin, or not on her skin, uses in all the products we typically use somewhere over 160 different chemicals a day. And that doesn't include food and what we do when we walk out of the house. That's just what we are using. And men are closer to like, I think 120 or something like that. But it's paying attention to what you are inhaling and using on your body and looking up some of those ingredients. Look at the laundry list of things that are on different products and see what it says. Some are okay, um, but it's making those switches and making sure that you're doing your best. I mean, it's hard. It is hard, but it gets easier, and you will start feeling, in my personal opinion, a lot better once you start lessening the toxic load on your body and making different choices.
You mentioned like the personal care products, specific places that people are getting exposed.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, from the lotion we're putting on, lotion, deodorant, shampoos, soaps, nail polish, makeup. A woman's makeup is just loaded with different toxic chemicals. The good thing is there's a lot of good choices out there. I have to tell you that too. Deodorants, I think I said, men, shaving cream. What are you shaving with? You're opening up your pores right when you shave, and whatever you're putting on there is going right into your skin one way or another if you're doing that. So, but there's so many different choices out there. Years ago, I'd say even 10 years ago, it was hard to find a lot of different choices. But now there's so many different companies that have come forward and realizing that we don't need all these toxic ingredients in all of our products. And so many of them are endocrine disruptors, which means they mimic, basically they mimic, a lot of them have phthalates in them, which mimic hormones. And you do not want chemicals mimicking hormones in your body. It can just cause havoc for you, for your health, for kids, girls that are trying, their organs are developing, men too. They're finding that these are affecting men's sperm count. Babies are being born with some unbelievable issues with their testicles, and it's a huge. I mean, and the mothers that are there, if they have a toxic burden overload, they're passing it on to their newborns. So it's just paying attention to everything you're using all day, whatever you touch, whatever you're putting, toothpaste. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but what I try to get people to do is just don't throw it away. Just look at it and see what you are using. Let's start making simple changes in the right direction. Now, I'm still going to color my hair. I'm 61, but I'm going to find the best and least toxic product out there and to color my hair. So, you pick your poisons, I say. And Madison Reed is what I used to color my hair with. A woman came forward and said all these toxic chemicals in hair color. Now she found something that's so much less toxic. So it's just fine. Women like to color, paint their fingernails, paint their toenails. Of course I do too, but I'm going to find that best product that doesn't use toluene. Toluene is a known carcinogen. But there's so many good products on the market today that you can find, so that is the approach I try to get people to do when trying to reduce their toxic load, and taking it one step at a time. Don't go crazy with it.
What about the toxic exposure to like the air and the water?
Obviously, you can't do anything outdoors, but indoors you can. What I do, I use indoor air quality monitors that when I go into someone's home, I either suggest they get one or I bring mine if I'm doing it in person, but it shows you what the air quality in your home is. Let's figure out where some of those toxins are coming from, and we start reducing that toxic load. I'm a huge proponent of air purifiers. And ever since we got one years ago, we sleep so much better, less dust in a room. My husband doesn't snore anymore, thankfully. And so those are things you can do to clean the air in your home. So air purifiers are and I'm a huge proponent of Austin Air, which is 100% made in the United States, as opposed to some of these air purifiers that are made overseas. So you got to be careful of that as well. So that's the air. the other things you can do, simple, easy things in your home, in your apartment, wherever you live, take your shoes off when you come in your house. There are so many people spraying their lawns with pesticides and herbicides, and those are potentially coming in along with the oils that are in the grass or in the cement that you walk on. Take your shoes off at the door. Do not trace that stuff into your house. Dry cleaning, try to air your dry cleaning out before you bring it home. Don't leave it in your car for hours either, so it outgasses in your car. Try, if you can, put it outside so it outgasses out there. Make sure all your fans, ceiling fans, your window air conditioners, make sure you are cleaning those constantly, the filters that are in them. It's very simple and easy to do. So you have fresh filters in your, they come out and you just wash them in the sink. Ceiling fans too. Those are just some easy things. Open your windows as much as possible. So many homes are so airtight now that air is not circulating, and you need that. I live in Buffalo, New York. We open our windows 12 months out of the year, even if
Hmm.
it's freezing out, just to get some air circulating throughout the house. So those are simple things with the air quality in your house that are free, easy, and cheap to pay attention to and monitor. Obviously, the air purifier is not cheap, but the other things that I mentioned are the water. Now, water is a whole nother subject.
You had mentioned the air quality monitor. What is that?
They are all different, but it'll measure the VOCs maybe that are in your house, or some measure radon. So it gives, and some other chemicals it'll measure. It'll tell you what's floating around your house.
That's something that
Um,
you get on like Amazon or
yeah, absolutely. I think I even have some in my Amazon store on my website. So yes, absolutely. YooHoo is one that is fabulous. UHOO. I have one of those in our kitchen. It measures the air quality. I get notices if something is, alerts me if it's elevated. The air quality is one of my biggest pet peeves, and especially in our homes, that we can control that. Everybody can control that, because once we leave the house, we can't control anything that we breathe in.
the air, indoors is substantially higher toxins, and is that just due to the lack of circulation? And then
Both.
furthermore, if you had like air conditioning, because here in Vegas, we never open, like the windows don't even open. The
Wow,
doors,
you really?
we don't have any
Wow.
screens because it's either too hot or too cold. And there's there's
Wow.
there's only an in between of like a couple weeks where we have it where it's at a temperature where we can have the windows open.
Wow.
So
Yeah. So, I mean, everybody's in different climates. Everybody lives in different areas. Uh, Personally, if I lived there and I couldn't open up my windows, I would absolutely have an air purifier running 24/7, which is what we do. So, at least the air is being filtered constantly. Yeah. And it all depends on where people live. I mean, if you live above throughway, your air is going to be a lot more polluted in your apartment or condo or wherever you are, because you are getting the fumes from all those cars passing by, So wildfires are a big thing right now, of course, again, coming down from Canada, that you do not want to be breathing in that wildfire air. Again, an air purifier will get rid of those toxins from those wildfires.
and not only getting one, but you got to change the filters, right?
Yes, yes, yes. The Austin Air, you have to change every 5 years. Now, the filters are the most important things in an air purifier. It's not the bells and whistles. It's not the little things that they try to sell you on, because a lot of that's made over in China. I hate to tell you that, but they're selling you a lot on the plastic. It's what's inside that purifier. It's not what's on the outside. And you want to make sure that filter is the best ever. Austin Air is. Austin Air is HEPA quality, 99.9%. They get rid of all of the chemicals that you want to avoid. So that, there's a lot of air purifiers on the market. I see them all. People ask me all the time about them. And most of them are made overseas. I've not found one that is 100% made here except Austin Air. I'm very leery of anything that comes from China, and the plastics that they use, and how is that outgassing in your home. And So those are just things that I try to get people to pay attention to. It's not about, if it's on a timer or if it, whatever the different things are. So, but if you haven't one already, and if you have one, you've made a step in the right direction, having an air purifier. I'm not saying anything that they're, bad for you. I'm just saying I like the best quality, and I look for things that are made here in the US. So those are my preferences.
As you learn more about this stuff, you just keep upgrading and
Absolutely.
better, and
Yep.
just do the best that you can with whatever knowledge you have.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Step by step, right?
Let's talk about water first, and then I
Yeah.
get into your how to avoid cancer causing stuff.
Yeah. Water is, I mean, we could probably do a whole show on water, but I will give everybody a couple tips on water. Our water is extremely polluted in the United States and probably around the world, but United States, most of our water treatment plants treat the water for bacteria. So they're pouring a ton of chlorine in and killing bacteria and whatever else they need to kill. They are not getting rid of the pharmaceutical drugs that are being flushed down the toilet, the pesticides that are being run off into our water, anything that's flushed down a toilet. I know it sounds disgusting, but it goes into our water treatment plants. So I'm on Lake Erie. Anything that's in Lake Erie that's coming from Lake Superior and Lake Huron, we get. So the water industry is very, in my personal, there's a lot of reports out there that it's definitely much needed attention. And I use a reverse osmosis for our drinking water, which gets out, I think, 99 point whatever percent of the toxins. Now there are these new chemicals that have come into our water called forever chemicals. They're called PFAS. Reverse osmosis gets them out, but these are all, the amount of chemicals that they're finding in our waterways is astounding. And they've done a lot of research in this. Our government has studied like 7 different cities, and they're starting to really look into this a lot more. Now, if anybody wants to see what's in your water, you can go to Environmental Working Group, and you can even plug in just their initials, EWG, and put in EWG water. And what it brings up is that part of their website. They have scientists that analyze all of the water reports from around the country. So you put in your zip code, and then you put in who your supplier of your water is. Ours is Erie County. And then it'll show you what some of the chemicals, not all of them, but some of the chemicals that are in your water that and most of the ones that I've seen are potentially cancer causing chemicals that they find. And most of them you'll see are somewhere between 20 and 400 times the levels that they say should be allowed in water. So I've tried reading water reports from our water company here, and it's like reading, Japanese. It's crazy. So I was very happy that Environmental Working Group has scientists that do this for us. It's astounding. It's really scary to think what we are drinking, what people are drinking in our everyday tap water. So start there. I highly suggest reverse osmosis, and that's what we do.
Now, I became conscious and aware that it wasn't just the tap water for drinking, because I mean, most people think that we're consuming the water and that's how we're getting toxic exposures. But then I was informed that our skin is the largest organ on the body, and so exposure to the water from a shower, we absorb the toxins that way.
Yep.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't like to scare people too much, but yes, I have we actually have a whole house filtration system. But you can, what I'm told is you can buy a shower filter that can filter, I think it can filter the chlorine out. And I'm not 100% sure about the shower units because, again, I have the whole house unit, but there are products out there that can at least get some of the chemicals out, so you're not showering in these chemicals as well. I mean, they're washing your hair with chlorine in the water. I mean, it's just, it would probably be okay if that's the only thing that you're really exposing yourself to. And a lot of people or companies will claim that these chemicals are okay,
Mhm.
but it's, our bodies can only handle so much. So what we're eating, if we're eating non-organic food and taking in some of the chemicals that way, and then we're showering and we're using shampoo with fragrance and we're putting lotion on and we're using deodorant underneath our armpits where there's more open, um, pores, and deodorant and makeup, and it's just toxic load is overwhelming for our bodies. And the other thing that I've talked to a lot of scientists about this, nobody knows and nobody will ever know how all these chemicals are mixing inside of our body. And what could that be doing to our liver, our pancreas, our kidneys, and that is the scare to me. Like, what could it be doing to our bodies? Could they all be causing, these illnesses in so many people's health? So it's just, I try to get people just to start paying attention to reduce all that and start, looking at all that. And the shower definitely is one area as well. I mean, there's a lot of areas, and we can go into furniture, we can go into, what your house is made of and your drywall and your floors. And there's a lot of new home building out there, and what is being used and all that, and how is all that outgassing, and rugs and carpeting. I mean, the list goes on. That's what I'm saying. I don't try to scare anybody, but it's just paying attention to everything that you're using and bringing into your home.
So like the hot water, the steam, we inhale the chlorine that way. And so
Absolutely.
another way. So what I personally done for my family is we like you said, we got the shower things, and you just buy them on Amazon. They're like
Yep.
little module things that they go in line with the water, so you just screw them on there and then put the thing at the end. And it's they say a 9-stage filter, whatever that means, and it filters out supposedly the chlorine and stuff. So
Yeah,
if anything, I think what you're doing is best, but it's obviously the most expensive, and
I know.
those that are perhaps renting, it may not make sense. But you can, per faucet, your shower, it's like $30 for these filters.
Exactly.
Not like this is expensive stuff. You can definitely have cheaper alternatives.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm glad you brought that up too, because that's definitely little steps, little things people can do like that to just make those changes and reduce the toxic load.
What are the things that we need to avoid to reduce our risk for cancer?
Well, okay. So everything I talked today about already, everything I do is, cancer is always in the back of my mind, prevent cancer. My aunt died of ovarian cancer. She used talcum powder all the time, which now there's all these lawsuits out there. Um, are you spraying your lawns with Roundup, which is glyphosate, which is a known carcinogen? It's just, I mean, does anybody know what causes cancer? No. But can you eliminate cancer causing chemicals? Yes. Or potentially cancer causing chemicals. So fragrance, as I said, is there. There's a company out of Connecticut, Valley Sure. They analyzed a bunch of different products. They started finding benzene in some of these products. Suntan lotion, I believe they found it in shampoo. It's very common to be used in fragrance. You can avoid the cancer causing chemicals as much as possible, but you have to know what they are, right? So we don't 100% know.
Mhm.
There's a lot of research out there. There's a bunch of different organizations, nonprofits that are studying all this that I follow very closely. that it sure is leading to lifestyle choices that people are making that are potentially causing cancer and these environmental toxins. So there's sound research out there, and it's just trying to avoid. You really, my mind, Trevor, is to really try to avoid the chemicals as much as possible, whether they're cancer carcinogens or not. The more you can reduce your load, that is going to also help your immune system. So you definitely, our immune systems are also, they're constantly trying to help our bodies be healthy. But if there's all these chemicals in your body, your immune system is going to be compromised as well. So it's kind of like it's just this double-edged sword that you really want to just do your best.
Mhm.
Can I prevent cancer? No. But can I help you try to reduce some of these chemicals in your house to reduce your toxic load to hopefully prevent cancer? Yes.
Now, we've been talking all about like toxic exposures. Do you venture into the realm of trying to get these stuff out of our system?
Uh, um, so do you mean to reduce them out of our system?
Yeah, like detoxing, trying to cleanse our system.
Yeah, so no, I don't get so much into that because my big thing is to reduce them in your, not just your food. Detox is definitely an overused word. I do try to get people to reduce the toxic, everybody load. But one thing I do suggest to people is that you get your urine tested. Get your urine tested. A lot of different firms do this all across the country. There is one called Million Marker out in California that you can actually send your urine into, you get the box or whatever. I did mine from Silent Spring, which is in Massachusetts, but Silent Spring doesn't do that. I did it like 20 years ago. And test, it will come back and show you what chemicals are in your body.
Hmm.
I wish that was part of our physical. Could you imagine? As opposed to just cholesterol and everything else they're testing for. If everybody saw, oh, you have BPA, you have high levels of BPA. Well, where is BPA coming from? It's coming from plastics.
Right.
I had BPA in me, and I'm like, BPA, where is plastic coming from? I don't cook in Teflon. I don't store anything in plastic. I don't drink out of plastic. And we analyzed what I did. It took about 5 minutes, and it was a coffee pot. So every time that coffee pot, that hot water goes through that cycle, it's heating up all those, look inside your coffee pot, all that plastic inside your coffee pot. That's where the BPA was coming inside of me. And you don't want BPA in your body.
Yeah.
And that's known carcinogen as well, potentially. So, it's, can you take preventative measures? Yes. It's how far you want to go with it. But that is definitely, years ago, you couldn't get your urine tested. Now you have a lot of different options out there. But I definitely recommend Million Marker. That's actually, I think it's on my website as well. Uh, they do great things and can measure some of the chemicals inside your body.
Right. So when you test somebody for that stuff, does it kind of, I guess, fill in the picture and try and determine and distinguish where those exposures are coming from? So like with you, for example, you found out that the BPA, and then you had to go through and analyze, right, to figure out where those toxins are coming from.
Yeah. I with Silent Spring, when they did, they get on the phone with you when they go through, and she said, okay, let's walk through your day. What do you do? What's the first? And that's how we figured out it came from the coffee pot. And then sure enough, I did a retest and it was much lower, much, at a better level. So we can't get rid of all the toxins in our bodies. I mean, I have toxins in my body, but they're at a low level. And that's something that we all want everybody to have the least amount of toxins in your body so you can reduce your toxic load and hopefully live a long, healthy life and cancer-free and no other illnesses either.
Right. That's the goal, huh?
That's the goal. Absolutely.
Because I know that this information, this knowledge has been passed on to you through generations. Who are you passing it on to?
So I started out when I started doing this, it was just friends, family, neighbors. Then people, some cancer patients would call me and say, would you come help me just see what's in my house and how I can make changes. So I did that for a while I had my party planning company, and I've been doing it for 38 years. And so now in 2020, I decided that I really felt like I needed to kind of put my party planning business aside. I'd planned over 700 events, and I really want to make a difference. I really want to help more people. I want to open up people's eyes to making changes and how you can make changes for the better of your health and to try to prevent cancer. And that's what I do now with my podcast and speaking on shows like this and getting the word out there as much as possible. I also sit on some legislative sessions in New York State to try to make some changes in the laws, which is happening. So I follow, I read, I research, I keep up with things. So I pass on as much as I possibly can and helping people. And eventually I'm working on some books and some manuals to help people slowly make some of these changes in their homes.
That's great that you're passing it on to your family. I mean, hopefully they listen.
They do. Oh my God. No, and my nieces they correct me up. They send me pictures all the time. Some of them are in college, some of them are out of college. They're pretty good. And they'll send me pictures like, T, what do you think of this? And I'm like, well, what do you think of it? And show me the ingredients. And then we just start analyzing it. It's like, oh gosh, it has fragrance in it. Okay, forget it. I don't even need you to look at it for me. So my friends, I mean, they all do the same thing. And I try not to be a burden or overwhelming, to them, but they know that I'm here for them. And I'm always, and I'm here for people that want to even reach out on social media. I'm pretty good at getting back to people that have questions.
You like consult with people, like say if I wanted to hire you and I'm out in Vegas, would that be possible?
Oh yeah. Yep. I can do remote. Absolutely.
And
It's
so how
easy.
does that work for you?
So yeah. So, I mean, I love going in people's homes. That's my favorite thing. But if I have to do it remotely, we go from room to room. I mean, you show me your products. I
Yeah,
look at them with you. We analyze them. Tell me. I mean, it takes a little while and I can um, go through each room with them. So, I mean, these days it's very simple with whether it's a Zoom call or FaceTime. So, yeah.
that makes it easy.
Simple. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's very easy. It's fun. I try to make it fun, fun as
Right.
it can be, right? But most people, once they make all those changes, they start educating other people. That's what I love the most. They start passing it on to others, whether, it's the fragrance, the laundry detergents, the deodorants. I love it. I have all my friends are so knowledgeable and I hear them talking to other people, and it just makes my heart warm because I know that I've made a difference in somebody's life.
Yeah. It's like the ripple effect.
It is. It is. And there are so many people like me out there, that I love. I mean, and we all know each other, and there's more and more and more people out there. And some of the people that I interview, the ones that fascinate me are the doctors that are medical doctors that actually, some of them either got sick themselves and start realizing, well, they didn't want to take that medicine. They're trained. Doctors are trained to give you medicine. They're not trained to try to figure out what the root cause of your headache, your problems, your acne, whatever. They're giving you medicine. The pharmaceutical industry tied into the chemical industry, right? That's how they're trained. They get 6 hours in healthcare. They get 6 hours in, whether it's healthcare or preventative care. So many of these doctors that I've interviewed have realized, like, wow, we are not trained to try to figure out what really is wrong with you instead of saying, take this medicine, take that medicine. Watch your TV tonight. Watch how many pharmaceutical companies, sorry, are trying to force pharmaceutical drugs on you. I'm in awe every single night. My husband and I count them, what they're all for. That's what's being pushed on us as consumers. We have to step back and say, okay, why am I sick? What is my issue? And so many of these doctors that I've interviewed have started converting over into holistic healthcare, integrative healthcare, trying to figure out what are these issues. And they are right on board with the environmental toxins that are causing so many of the health problems.
So I'm a physician assistant by trade, and in school we literally had one class, it was one day they taught us about nutrition. One day, right? That was it.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
there was nothing about toxins. Nothing. We didn't learn anything about them. So, anything that I know now is that I learned outside of school.
Right.
But it's interesting that, it's funny when these doctors, it's like it's sick care,
Yep.
so we only want to see you when you're sick. And then when
Right.
you're not sick, we don't, like, insurance doesn't cover anything, right? There's no preventative cover. I mean, some of them are
No.
starting to cover now, but it's very, very little. And so, people, I think are starting to become more conscious and aware that, you know, don't wait till you're sick, like,
No, absolutely.
taking care of yourself beforehand.
Yes, it'll cost you a lot more if you wait till you're sick.
And I think, I've interviewed a lot of people in this health space, and they all seem to have the same mindset that, like you, like me, we're trying to help people. And I think
Hmm.
that is kind of the motivation right now that is spurring this whole holistic wave of, change. There's a changing of the guards here, because in the past it was all the sick care of medicine, and now it's changing to where people are you know becoming more conscious and aware of the prevention. Which, interestingly enough, if you look back historically, some of the presidential wives, they had preventative um, programs, but it never seemed to catch on. Like, I believe Obama's wife had
She
something,
did. She did.
anything of
She,
Reagan's wife as well.
yep, yep, they did. They did. They tried. It's a tough thing out there with the big names of Monsanto and Bayer and all the companies that, I mean, they're in Washington lobbying against all of this and the money that they're putting behind it. And it's just incredible what they are doing to avoid any legislations and avoid any of this, getting out in mainstream. But it's getting out, and there's people are starting to realize so. And like your industry, physicians are starting to realize we have to make some changes. This is not the way that it should be, and it's a good sign. I love seeing it. I love hearing about it. I love being out there, meeting people like you and others that are really making changes. So
I
step
think,
by step,
right. See, I believe that, money talks, and
totally.
the how we change this is not by legislation. It's not by, lobbying. It's stop buying the products. And if you
Yeah.
stop buying the products, they just won't make them anymore. They can't. And I'm a business person too, so I know this. If you don't spend money with my company's going to fail. It doesn't matter what I do. It's not gonna survive. So,
Yep.
once, we can educate people of what they should and shouldn't be buying, it's a matter of getting that out to the mass public. And if we can do that, then I think that some of the stuff can actually change. Otherwise, the companies are going to keep paying off the political people, and just keep sliding behind the curtain, so nobody really knows.
Yep. Exactly. Some of the politicians, everybody drinks the same water. They're starting to realize it's making people sick. Unfortunately, I think Washington's starting to realize what these environmental toxins are doing to us as consumers. Cancer, doesn't, it's everywhere. And it's just something that I think people are starting to open up their eyes to a lot more thankfully. Unfortunately, we're losing a lot of lives and people are very sick, but I think it's, coming a much more apparent. I mean, again, 10, 15, 20 years ago, people thought I was crazy and now they're listening. So,
Right. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be, we're going to have to lose more people
I know.
and those people have to be, like perhaps politicians or the old school people that had those thought processes that it's okay until they find out it's really not okay. If they choose to do these things and they choose to perpetuate this knowledge and this information, then having them they had problems, then I think it takes that for them to realize that they were wrong.
I bet you people at Monsanto uh, don't spray their lawn with Roundup
Right.
and probably eat organic food. I mean, I think there's over 160,000 lawsuits against them. That's how powerful they are. And it's still on the market. People are still spraying their lawns. So, but it's changing. The tide is, changing a little bit. So, yeah, it's money. Money does talk.
So T, what's your legacy? What do you want people to remember you for?
Helping people make changes in their lives and living a long, healthy life. I mean, I give back a lot and I give back to my community. I give back to people. It's what I do. It's what I was taught to do. I am trying just to help as many people as possible make those changes and to realize that we have to pay attention to everything that we are using and eating so we reduce our toxic load. So it's really, hopefully, I'm helping people avoid these illnesses and sicknesses.
And we really just touched on the household products, which is that's your specialty. But there's lots of other toxins out there, right, that we need to be aware of. But
Yeah, there are, unfortunately. I mean, you can get into mold and lead and paints and formaldehyde that's in furniture. And I don't like to scare people too much. It's just, it can be overwhelming, but once you make that step in the right direction, then you'll start seeing that your eyes will be open to everything else that potentially is out there.
how do you protect against the furniture stuff?
Well, so the furniture, unfortunately, years ago, many years ago, uh, our wonderful cigarette companies convinced the government to, when people were burning their cigarettes while sleeping in bed, the government came to the cigarette companies, said, you have to put something in your cigarettes. So they stop burning. So these beds are
Right.
not going up in flames. Well, the cigarette companies, who is also owned by all the chemical companies, are all tied in, right? So why don't we spray everything with a fire retardant? And why don't we spray all the furniture and the bedding and kids? You couldn't buy kids pajamas when my nieces and nephews my sisters had to go to Canada to buy them because they didn't spray them with flame retardants. So flame retardants are horrific. They are nothing you want in your home. You do not want to be laying on a couch that's sprayed in flame retardants, or for that matter, the chemicals they use to stain, so they don't stain. I can't think of that word, but stain
Top
free or
chart.
what. Yes, exactly. So so a lot of the furniture manufacturers now are not using flame retardants. You have to check with them and make sure that they have not, because those are definitely chemicals you do not want to be sitting on, sleeping on, laying down in your home.
So how do we search for that? I mean,
You can ask the company, and on the label, on the tag on furniture, and actually, if anybody has, if you want to look, your furniture should say on the back whether or not it's been sprayed with fire retardants.
so we're talking beds and couches. Is that
Yeah,
in chairs and stuff? Is that
yeah,
primarily?
yep, exactly. Bedding is a whole nother story too, because beds can be made with so many different chemicals. I am 100% against any of the pillows or beds that memory foam. Those are basically made derived from petroleum, and the chemicals that they use to make the memory foam are nothing I would ever want to sleep in, put my head on. My dad had serious neck problems and some health issues, and we finally got rid of his memory foam pillow that he fought us on, and sure enough, all of his pains went away. So some bedding can be very toxic.
Huh.
And there's some great bed manufacturers out there now. Avocado is one of them. Not made with avocado, but it's called Avocado Mattresses, I believe it's called. There's a bunch of different ones.
Can you cover? Is that good enough or no?
I can't say one way or another. I mean, if I had, like, my nieces and nephews, they go to college, they're on a bed, right? Well, what we do is we'll get the cover, yes, so enclose the whole bed in whatever bed they give them, and then they always have take toppers. So we get them these all cotton toppers that they're at least sleeping on a cotton topper. Same with any bedding. If you already have a bed, I would suggest getting a topper. So you have at least a topper that has made with natural
Products or materials.
materials. Thank you. It's late here on a Friday, so my brain is a little tired. But anyway, so yeah. So I mean, those are things to make little switches that you don't want to go out and buy all new organic mattresses, but
Right.
you can at least enclose them and then put toppers on them.
Hmm. Okay. Now, so okay, so like when we're talking about like enclosure type stuff, what would be a good material to utilize?
For it's like to enclose the bed.
Yeah.
So I would just, if anybody, go on to Lifekind website, look and see what they have, or Avocado. Those are two. Lifekind actually, I think they're probably the oldest one that's been around forever. And it's not cheap. I mean, it's hard when I get people to look at mattresses. That's why I try to get people to at least use get toppers. But um, look on there. They're the professionals. I mean, I just know from the research I've done, from the books I've read, what is in bedding and how we have a guy here in Buffalo that branched out. He couldn't take the chemicals. He worked in a factory of making beds, and he couldn't they had to wear masks. And he said we'd be in the factory and the air was like blue smoke. And I knew it was bad for my health. And he ventured out and started making his and beds here in Buffalo for us and for just people here. So that's how I first started learning a lot about bedding. And then from Lifekind too. Lifekind started actually in the Western New York area, and then he moved it out to California. It's a huge company now. But so it's, unfortunately, that's also the bedding industry. It's getting better though. There are a lot of mainstream companies coming up with decent bedding that you can actually find. Years ago, we could only, find it from Brian, as I know him here, that was making them for us in Buffalo. But you definitely want to look at that, especially kids, especially cribs and children, and what are they sleeping on, and what bedding are they sleeping in. It matters because some of them can outgas, and you don't want them breathing in some of those toxic fumes.
Right. What about like materials of clothing? I know I've been hearing that, cotton is a
Yeah.
better, higher vibration material. What do you know about that stuff?
Cotton is best. It breathes, right? Unfortunately, a lot of they've been finding these forever chemicals. They're called PFAS because they're water resistant, and they put a lot of them in like yoga pants. And that was in the news, I want to say about a year ago, because they're using these chemicals so your sweat doesn't come out of your clothes. Well, you want your sweat to come out. You don't want it to stay, first of all, on your skin. Second of all, if you're sweating, are those chemicals then mixing in with your sweat and going back into your skin? So I know that all sounds disgusting, but that's what's happening.
Right.
So you want to sweat. You want your pores open. You want things coming out of you. You want, those are your toxins that we were made to sweat, and those
Right.
toxins are coming out. You do not want those toxins then going back into your body. Cotton is great. Cotton's breathable. And for anybody listening, these chemicals again are called PFAS. So you'll start seeing a lot of clothing that are PFAS free, or dental floss. You'll see dental floss, PFAS free. Dental floss, they put these chemicals in dental floss to make it slide. And um, PFAS are also known to be in nonstick pans. If you have nonstick pans that have scratches on them, get rid of them. Use stainless steel or cast iron. Those are just my simple recommendations. But so clothing, getting back to it, yes, that is a big issue right now, especially with these water resistant chemicals. And it's also in any kind of plastic, any kind of kids raincoats and things like that as well.
Hmm. It's
I
everywhere.
know a lot to stomach here, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's good. I think, it's like you said, it's just one step at a time. And I think,
Yes.
we just need to address these different categories of our life. So, like we talked about the laundry, your cleaning products, the personal care products, the air quality, the water, and now the bed and the clothes. And so, there's a lot of things, but these are all kind of like little categories that you can get better at, right?
Yes, absolutely. 100%. I mean, slowly. And as you're talking about all this, I'm thinking sunscreen. Sunscreen, there it's a hard thing to talk about, because not talk about, but to get people change. So many people think that cancer, the sun can cause cancer, but I try to get people to pay attention to, what are you putting on your skin? What are you baking on your skin? What chemicals are in that sunscreen that you are literally baking into your body? That is a more of a scare to me than the sun is to me.
Mhm.
And what is it? And so many sunscreens have so many terrible ingredients in them. So many of them have fragrance in them. That's not coconut that you're smelling. That's not whatever else they're putting in there. Those are chemicals they're putting in there. So that's another very scary area that I try to get people. There are good sunscreens out there that can be used, and not anything with fragrance. Absolutely.
What do you have, like, is there a specific product perhaps for sunscreen that you're aware of?
There are a bunch, and I don't know. I mean, on my website, I have a store, and I'm full disclosure, I make zero money on this store because it's on Amazon, and I have it on there. It's under my shop tab on my website, but it's on there because I can refer people there when they ask questions like this. What sunscreen? Well, look at the sunscreens that I have on my, I have a lot of different tabs. One is just sunscreen, but
Do you know of, like, the perhaps the what's in the non-toxic stuff? Like what we could look for?
the sunscreen that you want, it deflects the sun. So once the sun hits your skin, that's what prevents you from burning. The toxic ones, it soaks into your skin. It prevents you from burning that way, but it creates a layer of these chemicals in your skin. So you don't want that. You want the sun deflecting off of your skin. Best description I can give you on the two different quality of sunscreens. I've done enough research to know, and I've tested a ton of them. Some of them I can't stand, and they make you look all white, but there's other decent ones out there that can do the work. And, typically none of the aerosol ones are good for you. Unfortunately, I know people like those because they go on easier and you can just spray them on your kids, but the aerosol ones are not great.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Definitely for sure not the aerosol ones.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah,
That's
but
that.
thankfully there are decent ones out there that these companies have come forward, and some small ones have made a difference in the sunscreen industry, as opposed to like whatever, the banana boats, and you think it smells like a banana. I don't know. I can
Yeah.
just smell them right now, but
Now, I definitely think it's important for us to, educate people on these other companies because,
mhm,
there's definitely certain companies that have a huge product line that they're doing bad stuff to all the products. So if we can just,
yeah.
I don't want to say ban, but if we can stop purchasing from these brands, but then more importantly, I think we need to have other brands that we can move to as a replacement or a substitute.
Yep, absolutely. And, I think about these sunscreens and people look, be at the drugstore. You just have to pay attention because they might say, 10 ingredients only or what. You just have to look at the label. Make the best choice that you possibly can. I mean, sometimes it's not the best, but if you're avoiding fragrance number one in the sunscreen, that's a good step in the right direction.
Well, fantastic information here, T. I appreciate all your
You're
time.
welcome.
Amazing
You're
interview.
welcome.
Thank you so much. And I'm sure the people are going to really appreciate this information.
Yes, and take your time. That's all I try to tell people, and one step at a time. I mean, we covered a lot here.
Yep.
So, and take your time and read
Yep.
your ingredients and know your labels.
Gandhi said, "Be the change you wish to see in the world. You must choose to become superhuman." Thank you for listening to this episode of the Becoming Superhuman podcast. I'm your host, Trevor Schmidt. Be sure to follow our social media channels. We'll see you next time.